In my 30 years of working with dogs, I've worked with dogs that live in apartments right through to dogs that live on farms. And there's one category of dogs that always surprises people, and that's the small breeds. In this video, we're going to take a look at the most popular small breeds and find out what really makes them tick. First up on our list is the Chihuahua. And yes, this is my trauma face. There is no other breed of dog that has caused me more trauma in a professional setting than Chihuahuas. A tiny little dog, but a heck of a lot of personality wrapped up into that small body. Activity level is relatively low. Sociability also quite low, unfortunately. They're not renowned for being the friendliest to other dogs and even to people that they don't know. And I don't think that's necessarily a breed thing. I think that's a small dog thing, which I'm going to cover a little bit later on. Noise-wise, they can be a little bit noisy, but their bark isn't as loud as it would be with some of the other breeds. And maintenance, they're fairly easy to take care of. You get the long-coated variety, which would obviously require a little bit more grooming, but all in all, a relatively easy breed to look after. Then we have the Yorkshire Terrier or the Yorkie. Activity level probably also low, maybe bordering into medium for some individuals of the breed. Sociability, again, that can be a little bit iffy with other dogs and people that they don't know, but a large part of that is around how they've been socialized or how they've been raised. They've certainly got the potential to be sociable, but sometimes people tend to baby these little dogs a bit too much. And I know it's tempting because they're so cute and they're so cuddly and you want to pick them up and carry them around, but it's not actually doing them any favors. You know, our small dogs, I think if we treat them like big dogs, they can be just as sociable as the larger dog breeds. And the way that we've become accustomed to particular breeds in terms of sociability, if we manage our small dogs appropriately, I think they could be up there with them. Going back to the Yorkshire Terrier, noise-wise, they can be quite noisy. I would say in my cases where I deal with excessive barking, Yorkies unfortunately feature there quite often. Maintenance, the coat is quite a big deal, especially if you're going to be maintaining a show type coat. If you're going to be clipping the dog or otherwise sort of taking care of the coat, then the coat is not going to be much of an issue. Small dogs steal our hearts and often our laps. It's natural to want to keep them safe, to scoop them up and shield them from the world, but they're still dogs. They need walks, adventures, sniffs, and social time, just like any other breed. Loving them means letting them live fully, paws on the ground, nose in the wind, tail wagging freely. Then we have the Dachshund. You obviously get quite a few different varieties of Dachshund. There's 6, if memory serves. The standard Dachshund is actually quite a big dog. I would put them in the medium dog category, not the small dog category. But all in all of your varieties of Dachshund are actually quite active dogs. They're busy dogs. Remember, they were bred to actually hunt, and they haven't forgotten that. It's not been lost on them. Sociability, they can be super sociable with people and other dogs. Again, a large part of this is on how you raise them. Noise-wise, Dachshunds, unfortunately, are renowned for being quite noisy. Their bark is a little bit, how shall I say, a little bit more booming than the other breeds of dogs that we've already discussed. So noise can be a problem with a Dachshund. Maintenance-wise, they're pretty easy to take care of in terms of their coats. Your long-haired Dachshund will obviously require a little bit more maintenance, and your wire-haired Dachshund, if you are insisting on keeping that wire coat as it is, they need to be hand stripped, which is quite a chore. I wouldn't have a clue on how to do it. I've never had a wire coated breed, but that can be quite a thing to do. So bear that in mind if you want to keep a wire and you want to keep that nice wire coat. Then we have the Pomeranian or the Pom. Activity level, again, probably low, maybe bordering up to medium. No, low. Sociability, depending on how they're raised, they can be super sociable with other people and dogs. Noise-wise, they can be a little bit noisy. I think that might be related to the sociability aspect. You know, if they're not feeling comfortable, if visitors come around, they're going to bark to voice their displeasure, and this can create a bit of an issue. But if they are comfortable with your visitors, then we don't have the barking. So these factors kind of go hand in hand. Maintenance-wise, that's a lot of coat to look after. So be sure that you know what you're getting yourself into if a Pomeranian is the breed that you're looking at. One of the smartest things you can do when you choose a breed is not just to rely on your own internet research or chatting to breeders, speak to canine professionals, speak to trainers, to vets, to groomers. They're the ones who've got the hands-on experience with dogs of those particular breeds, and they're the ones that are going to give you the absolute nitty-gritty on that breed and whether it's right for you. Then we have the Italian Greyhound. I adore this breed of dog. They are absolute little lunatics. They're great. Activity level, definitely medium, if not moving towards the high level. They can be incredibly sociable. I think every single Italian Greyhound I've met has been very sociable to other dogs and people. Great little dogs. Noise-wise, not particularly a noisy dog. And maintenance, gosh, you literally just wipe it with a cloth and there you go, your dog is nice and clean. What you do have to watch with these guys is they love their zoomies, and they will run into a bedroom, leap onto a bed, do a sort of a somersault flick-flack. They're incredibly athletic, and then leap off, and in the process they might actually fracture a leg. I kid you not. So you've got to be really careful with your Italians to make sure that they don't get themselves into trouble. Great dogs though. Then we have the Shih Tzu. I've never really worked with a lot of Shih Tzus. It is quite a popular breed, but I think the average person who gets a Shih Tzu tends not to take it for training. So I don't see many of them in a training perspective. And the fact that I don't see a lot of them from a behaviourist perspective is great. That means that they're less inclined to have problems. The ones that I have met strike me as low activity dogs, quite sociable to people and other dogs. Not particularly noisy, but again, the maintenance, that's a lot of coat to look after. Then we have the miniature poodle. Activity level can definitely, I would put it in the medium category, incredibly smart little dogs. People have had great success doing agility with them. Very nimble, they're very smart, so they're great to train. Sociability, again, we're going back to how they've been raised. I've seen some miniature poodles that are terrified of everything and anything around them, and then I've seen others that are sociable as Labradors. So, you know, if you put the time and effort in, and if the dog's got the genetic capacity for it, then you could end up with a really sociable dog. Noise, it can be a little bit on the noisy side, so we want to watch out for that. Then, of course, maintenance. You can, of course, just clip your mini poodle and not have to worry about the coats. If you are going to try and maintain more of a sort of a show coat, then you've got quite a bit of PT in front of you. Small dogs might seem like the healthier choice, and sometimes they are, but they're not immune to health issues, from dental disease to luxating patellas and breathing problems in flatter-faced breeds. Small size doesn't mean low risk. The best thing you can do? Choose a responsible breeder who prioritizes health, not just looks. It's the first step to giving your small dog the big life they deserve. Then we have the pug. I adore pugs. I absolutely love them. Activity level, definitely on the low end of the scale. Sociability, I'm going to be generous and say medium. I've met some pugs that I've yet to meet a pug that's aggressive to people. I've not come across one, but I have met some and worked with some pugs that have had issues with other dogs, and they're quite determined about this. So sociability, I would give that a medium. Noise, not very noisy at all, and this is what you'll find in most of the brachycephalic breeds. So the breeds with the snub noses, they tend not to bark as much as the dogs without the snub noses. So that's quite a general characteristic that one can apply. Going back to the pug, maintenance, really not a lot to maintain there. Nice, smooth, dense, short coat. Then we have the Cavalier King Charles Spaniel. Amazing breed of dog. Activity level, low to medium, also really smart. I've had the privilege of working with calves in the agility ring, and what an absolute pleasure of a dog. Sociability, I've yet to meet one that hasn't been sociable to people and other dogs. Noise, again, it's a shorter muzzled breed, so they're less likely to bark and make a noise. Maintenance, the coat. So it's not as intense as, say, a Shih Tzu, but it's still quite a bit of coat that one's dealing with that you would need to groom and brush quite regularly to avoid matting. And then last but not least, we have another one of my absolute favorites, the Boston Terrier. Fantastic, rugged, small dog. Activity level, medium, probably. Sociability, here's where, some Bostons can be a little bit iffy towards other dogs. I've never experienced a Boston that has been unsociable towards people, but they do have a little bit, well, the clue's in the name, Boston Terrier. They've got a little bit of that terrier kind of attitude when it comes to other dogs. Noise, again, not a loud fella, this one. And maintenance, nice, short, smooth coat. There shouldn't be a lot that you should have to deal with there. So that's a wrap on the most popular small breeds. They may be little, but as you've seen, they pack in plenty of personality. But what if you're looking for something in between? Not too tiny, not too tiring. In the next video, I'll walk you through the medium breeds, a wonderfully versatile group with loads to offer a variety of households. See you there.